Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Urban Studio, specifically pulling apart the social pillar of their steeple analysis. We're going to map out the current menswear landscape, dig into some massive societal shifts, and frankly, pinpoint the major roadblocks they've got coming up ahead. Let's get right into it.
So, Steeple is that classic macro environment scanner, right? Well, today we are zeroing in entirely on the S, the social factor. We're talking demographic changes, evolving cultural norms, and the totally shifting definitions of things like modern masculinity and what we even consider workplace attire these days. Because for an apparel brand like Urban Studio, you aren't just selling a shirt or a pair of pants, you're selling an identity that has to fit into a very specific social context. If you miss those cultural cues, you literally miss the entire market. Now, a full steeple analysis obviously covers 7 different macro factors, but today we're zooming in exclusively on the social slice of that pie. By isolating this one piece, we can totally filter out the noise of, say, supply chain economics or tech algorithms and focus purely on the human element. Make no mistake, this social slice, it's the beating heart of consumer demand. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for this explainer. First, the Urban Studio landscape. Second, 3 megatrends. Third, 3 current trends. Fourth, 3 emerging trends. And finally, 3 emerging issues. Starting right off with Section 1, Urban Studio's social landscape. Look, as a men's apparel brand, Urban Studio's success is directly tied to understanding the wildly, rapidly evolving dynamics of their target demographic. Think about it. The pivot to hybrid work fundamentally transformed how men dress. It basically erased those old, rigid boundaries between office wear and weekend wear. So Urban Studio is operating in an environment where consumer expectations are just sky high. Guys want authenticity, they want relevance, and they absolutely need clothes that actually align with these new daily realities.
Moving down the funnel to Section 2, 3 social megatrends.
These 3 megatrends are the massive, undeniable societal shifts that are completely redefining modern masculinity and fashion expectations over the long haul. First up, the erosion of strict gender norms. This is pushing menswear towards softer silhouettes and way more expressive color palettes. Second, the rise of conscious consumerism. Today's buyers are demanding ethical sourcing and sustainability as a baseline. It's not just a luxury add-on anymore. And third, the hybrid lifestyle permanence, which has forever altered the daily uniform. These are literally the tectonic plates of the industry shifting right beneath our feet, and they play out over decades, not just a couple of seasons.
The absolutely crucial point here is that if Urban Studio's DNA doesn't resonate with this new demand for sustainable practices or flexible living, any short-term tactics they try will just fall flat. It's like building a house on sand. You've got to think of these 3 megatrends as the gravitational pull influencing everything else we're discussing today. It's all about ensuring the brand is fundamentally synced up with where society is heading on a macro level.
Next up, Section 3, 3 current market trends.
So, building directly on those massive shifts, here are the 3 specific trends driving immediate consumer behavior and purchasing decisions right now. Step 1 is the dominance of athleisure. This is where high-performance fabrics meet everyday wear. Step 2 is Gorpcore aesthetics. If you haven't heard of it, it's this booming popularity of highly functional outdoor-inspired gear being worn right in the middle of the city. And Step 3 is modular wardrobes, which focuses on these super versatile capsule pieces that just layer seamlessly together. By isolating these exact 3 trends, Urban Studio can hyper-focus their immediate inventory and their seasonal designs to generate actual immediate revenue. This brilliantly illustrates how current trends are the direct, actionable results of those broader megatrends we just talked about. I mean, the push for modular or hybrid clothing doesn't just appear out of nowhere, right? It is the direct result of a societal megatrend regarding how we blend our personal and professional lives. Urban Studio has to make sure that the clothes they're producing today are practical, immediate answers to the broader social questions their customers are grappling with.
Looking to the next horizon, Section 4, 3 emerging social trends.
Okay, let's map out the bleeding-edge social shifts that Urban Studio really needs to capitalize on for tomorrow. In the near term, we are tracking digital identity blending. This is wild. It's where a consumer's digital avatar aesthetics actually heavily influence their physical clothing purchases. Moving to the midterm, we're seeing radical transparency demands, where shoppers are requiring hyper-local data on exactly where and how their garments were made. And looking long-term, we're preparing for post-ownership clothing models. Think subscription rotations and widespread peer-to-peer rentals. By charting these shifts out now, Urban Studio is preparing to lead the market rather than just scrambling to react to it later.
Catching a trend right as it transitions from emerging to current, that is the absolute sweet spot for maximizing profit and brand cachet. It's all about guiding the design and the R&D teams today. That way, Urban Studio is the brand supplying the answers when the rest of the market finally wakes up and realizes the questions are changing. That's how you maintain a competitive advantage.
Finally, we hit the watch list. Section 5. 3 critical emerging issues.
Now, these 3 issues represent the societal frictions, the potential roadblocks that could directly threaten the brand if they're ignored. This is really the defensive side of our analysis. We are tracking 1. The increasing risk of supply chain labor scandals. 2. The sharp rise in consumer-led greenwashing callouts for brands faking their sustainability efforts. And 3. The volatile threat of polarized cultural boycotts. Isolating these top 3 risks allows Urban Studios leadership to prepare precise, actionable contingency plans. You absolutely have to track the storms on the radar.
What's really interesting here is the stark tension between the momentum of our current trends and the potential disruption caused by these emerging issues. It's the ultimate balancing act that every major apparel brand has to perform. On one hand, you have this incredible momentum generated by successfully riding trends like athleisure and modular wardrobes. But on the other hand, you have the drag, the friction, and the serious operational hazards posed by things like supply chain scandals. Success for Urban Studio is equally about mitigating those risks before they slow the whole operation down.
The single biggest takeaway from all of this is that Urban Studio absolutely must proactively monitor and mitigate these specific risks to protect its market share. Think about it. You could have the most culturally relevant, perfectly designed menswear line in the entire world, but if your brand steps on a societal landmine, like a massive labor scandal, that market share vanishes literally overnight. Proactive monitoring means setting up the systems to listen to social sentiment and adjusting your course way before an issue becomes a full-blown crisis.
So we've covered the macro foundation, the current reality, those bleeding-edge opportunities, and the critical roadblocks within the social steeple framework. The path forward is pretty clear, but as we know, a strategy is only ever as good as its execution. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Is Urban Studio agile enough to navigate these 3 critical roadblocks and actually turn social friction into a competitive advantage? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing, and I will see you next time.